It's really important to be a well-rounded student and to be someone who can travel globally and kind of work in global communities, because that's where we are as a world today. We're instantly connected to billions of people across the world.
From Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana, this is Techies Today, the Purdue Polytechnic podcast. I'm John O. Lindsay Drake and Carson Deal are both students here in Purdue Polytechnic. Lindsay is majoring in user experience design, and Carson is studying mechanical engineering technology. A couple summers ago, after they graduated from high school, but before they began their first semester of classes here at Purdue, Lindsay and Carson traveled to Europe through a unique study abroad program available only to incoming first-year Polytechnic students. The program's title is Explore the Global Classroom, Bavaria to Bohemia. Students spend 2 full weeks traveling to Munich, Germany, and Prague, Czech Republic, where they are immersed in local culture and history. They go on tours of industry and tour the campuses of Munich University of Applied Sciences and Czech Technical University. And it's more than just a vacation. Students earn 3 credit hours by completing coursework from what's known as the Global Competence Certificate. They also learn about the benefits of cultural awareness in technology fields that operate in a global setting. After 2 weeks in Europe, Carson and Lindsay arrived on campus with newfound passion for experiencing other cultures. We'll hear about their favorite aspects of the trip and why they think every student should consider a study abroad experience. Lindsay is up first, and our conversation was recorded outside in front of Conoy Hall of Technology, so you'll hear a bit of street noise in the background.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Drake. I'm a sophomore in user experience design, and I'm from Algonquin, Illinois.
Why did you first choose to come to Purdue and the Polytechnic?
I chose to come to Purdue Polytechnic for the user experience design program. It's a new up-and-coming major, and it's a super amazing program.
Why did you first want to get involved in that program?
I thought I wanted to do computer science, but then realized I was more of an artsy person, so it was definitely a great blend of art, psychology, and technology.
What's something that so far has been a favorite aspect of the program? Maybe a class or even a project or a teacher?
Yeah, so my very favorite aspect of my major is that we have a class called Experience Studio, which is with basically all of the kids in the major. And we kind of all get to work together in teams, kind of like a company does, and work with a sponsor in real-world problems to kind of fix something for that company, which is really cool in industry experience.
When you were in high school and you were considering what program to come to in college, how aware are you then of the importance of getting real-world experience that's one of the hallmarks of the Polytechnic?
Yeah, in high school I really wasn't aware of all of the opportunities I would get, but I definitely, it's something that I really value now because I realize the importance of having that industry experience, especially for getting internships and jobs and that kind of thing.
When you are not studying, what do you like to do for fun on campus?
I'm involved in my sorority very heavily, so it's really fun because there's a lot of leadership opportunities and that kind of stuff. I'm also within Wiley Radio, so I have a radio show every week, and then I'm also a Purdue Polytechnic ambassador.
Are you planning any summer internships?
So currently I'm looking for internships. The one thing that's really cool about my major is that within our Experience Studio class, we do work with actual clients, so there are a bunch of people who do get internships from those companies and clients and that kind of stuff, so I'm definitely interested in that.
You took a study abroad trip before your first year began. How did you first hear about the study abroad opportunity before you were a first year student?
Yeah, so before I was a freshman, I got an email and it had different opportunities for studying abroad. I believe there were 2. I think there was one that was in South America somewhere, and then there was this one that I went on that went to Germany and to Prague, which was super cool. I found it in an email, wasn't really expecting to do it, but then looked into it further and was super excited about it.
Had you ever been overseas?
Before I went on my trip, I had never been overseas. If you count going to Canada for 4 hours, I had been out of the country, but other than that, that was my first time. So during my trip, we first went to Germany for a week. So we went to Munich specifically, and that was the coolest experience. I really, really enjoyed that. We got to go and see like the town square and that kind of stuff, which was just absolutely gorgeous. We went and we toured the Olympic Park that's in Germany from the 70s, which was super cool. We got to go up a huge tower and like see the whole thing, which was awesome. And then just exploring the city was super cool as well. There's a park called the English Gardens that is absolutely fantastic, and it's super gorgeous. You get to jump into the river and like swim down the river. It's so cool.
What's a favorite aspect of your trip, whether it's to Munich or Prague?
Yeah, my favorite aspect of the trip was just getting to see what other cultures are like. That's what the credits were surrounded around, was kind of figuring out what cultural differences look like and how to manage that and how to work with that. So it was just super cool to kind of get that opportunity to see different cultures and to see how different cultures approach different ideas in different social situations.
After coming home, and you went before your freshman year, but coming home and in hindsight for the trip, how do you think that your study abroad experience changed you as a person?
In hindsight, looking back at my study abroad, it definitely has opened my mind to so many opportunities and so many different aspects of the world. I never considered myself a world traveler before that, but it's definitely something that I want to continue to do and go different places and learn about different cultures in different places around the world, because there are so many opportunities not only here in our country, but all around the world.
What do you think it means for students? Why should students get that global awareness and that cultural immersion? Why is it important to be a well-rounded student?
It's really important to be a well-rounded student and to be someone who can travel globally and kind of work in global communities, because that's where we are as a world today. We're instantly connected to billions of people across the world, and so being able to communicate with other people and learning other cultures is so important to be relevant in the job industry. Polytechnic students should 100% consider studying abroad. It's an absolutely fantastic experience that gives you global knowledge of different technologies that you can use and different perspectives of what happens within the world and what happens within the Polytechnic Institute. It's just a really cool way to kind of work with other colleges that we've partnered with around the world to gain that global experience.
So think back to yourself as a 15 or 16-year-old student, and now you've been in college for a year and a half. What advice would you give yourself? What do you wish you had known when you were 15 or 16 that you know now?
If I could give myself advice back in high school, I would definitely tell myself to open up and to be open to new opportunities and experiences. That's one of the major reasons why I did the study abroad and why I gained so much from it, is because I was open to those opportunities, and just being able to have that was really, really valuable going into college. If I could give advice to any high school student coming to major in the Polytechnic, I would definitely say just to keep an open mind about all the different majors. There's a bunch of different majors within Polytechnic that are so awesome, and the one thing that the Polytechnic really stresses is being hands-on, which is so important within industry and also just within your classes. Being able to have that hands-on experience is so valuable, not only within the class, but also in industry later.
Hi, my name is Carson. I'm majoring in mechanical engineering technology, and I'm a freshman here at Purdue.
And where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Goshen, Indiana. So this past summer, I went to Munich in Germany for a week, and for the second half of the trip, we went to Czech Republic, which was in Prague. So it was a 2-week trip total. For me, it was my first experience out of the country, so just being able to step out of the United States in general was awesome. But I think in Germany, I have a German background in my family, and I took German classes in high school and college, so being able to experience the culture in Germany was definitely really awesome, and being able to see all the different historical buildings and all the kind of artifacts from the old part of Germany was just really awesome. And then Prague, that kind of continued. There's a lot of really old architecture that was really interesting to see, but getting to see just kind of the history of what life was like back then was really awesome.
So you were there for 2 weeks?
Yes.
Was there a typical day during the 2 weeks? I'm wondering just like if you could tell us about what a couple of the days might have been like.
Well, most days we started out with, it was kind of a chance to kind of explore the city. So especially in Munich, because it was really kind of vast with all the different roads and places that it could take you. Public transportation is really awesome there. So we had a lot of days that we were able to just explore, kind of just walk around the city and whatnot. But we did have some days that we went on scavenger hunts. So we were tasked with specifically looking for, maybe it was a specific building or a specific location where we had to find things and take pictures of them. So that was probably what a typical day would look like. We'd get up in the morning, we'd all eat breakfast together, then we'd go out about our day, have our fun activities, and come back, and always went to bed tired, every single day.
A good tired?
Yes, a good tired.
Tell me a little bit about the food and the people.
Oh man. So I think one of the coolest things for me was, because English is such a widespread language, you could be going about your day and you'd still hear people speaking in English. And for me, someone who can speak German, or I try, well, very, very limited German, at least now, I was able to pick up bits and pieces of conversations, so that was really cool. So I was able to kind of translate some things that were going on. from just overhearing people on the subway or whatnot. But the people were all really awesome. They were all really, really nice. We could really walk up to anybody and ask them questions about the city or ask them how their day was going. They were always willing to make conversation and just, oh man, it was just such an awesome experience to be part of.
Did you have a favorite experience or place or something favorite or very particularly memorable during your trip?
I think in Munich, oh yes. In Munich, there was this really cool place. It was called the, I'm going to slaughter this in German, but the Eisbachwelle, which essentially is this man-made stream that they made in the center of Munich that they actually surf on it. So there's a turbine underneath the water that spins the water and creates kind of rapids, and they'll surf on it. And we went there probably 3 or 4 different times and just watched people kind of have fun. It's a beautiful summer day, some summer weather, and we were able to kind of just swim in the stream and kind of just have a good time on the banks, and that was awesome. But in Prague, I think there's this really old bridge that connects the 2 parts of the city, kind of the old part of the city to the new part where they have their Capitol building. And being able to walk across that and see all the different statues of historical figures was really awesome, because I think it had been around since the 1300s or something like that. It was really old and it held up extremely well.
After coming home and having the benefit of hindsight, you said it's been almost a year since you went.
Yep.
How do you feel about it now? Do you feel, did it change you as a person? Did it just open your eyes in ways you weren't expecting?
Absolutely. I think that my worldview especially was changed because of it. That's what the class was actually focused on, was changing your perspective as a global citizen. But at a personal level, I was able to really get a respect for people around the world that, I was always kind of in my corner of the world. But being able to experience and see how life was like for other people, or at least get a glimpse of it, was really kind of life-changing, because it let me know that there's more to experience outside of just Goshen, Indiana. It was fun coming home and then being able to apply that into my everyday life. And I think that because of that, I became a lot more accepting of a lot of different people, and I think it really was awesome to kind of just see how it personally changed me.
What ways do you think that maybe that experience has helped you to apply it? You mentioned apply it in your everyday life. Can you think of ways as you have gone through your semesters and classes and extracurricular stuff, student orgs, whatever you're doing, can you think of ways that experience being overseas and studying abroad has affected your everyday life?
Absolutely. And I think this also has to do with college in general, but it's made me a lot more outgoing, because when you're in a very unfamiliar environment, everything's new, you have to be comfortable getting outside of your comfort zone, quite literally, and being able to put yourself out there and experience and try new things. And I think for me, one of the biggest ways it's impacted me is I'm able to go into any classroom and sit next to someone that I don't know at all, but make conversation with them and just kind of feel comfortable doing it. It's something that I love doing, and just meeting new people and I guess trying new things. So that's definitely one huge way it's impacted me.
So for a Polytechnic student who has not gone on a study abroad trip, why would you encourage a fellow student of yours to consider going on a study abroad?
Well, first of all, just getting outside the country in general is awesome. But for a Polytechnic student, going back to what I was saying about the whole kind of being able to connect with people, that thing, I think that it's really important to be able to make connections. And in a kind of a community that's as close-knit as the Polytechnic, I have people that I've only known for a semester or 2, but they feel like they're my best friends, like I've known them for my entire life. And as we go on through our lives, we're going to be able to keep those connections. I have a lot of friends that I made from this trip that we're super close still, and I can rely on them for anything. So I think being able to make those friendships and those connections is something that everyone should have in their lives.
Can I ask you a little bit about non-study abroad, but just about your major in general?
Sure.
So you mentioned that you find the Polytechnic to be very close-knit.
Absolutely, yes.
I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about why you find the Polytechnic or the people in your major to be so tight.
Well, there's the old saying that misery loves company. So as you're going through classes, sometimes that might be more challenging. If you're vocal with that, if you're saying, man, this problem really is hard, someone else might be saying, like, yeah, I have that exact same issue, then you kind of connect in a weird way. But beyond that, I think the class sizes really help. A lot of my class sizes for labs especially are probably 20-1 as far as student to teacher ratio. So that really is awesome. That really helps. When you see the same people over and over again, you might see them one class or maybe only one day a week, and you think, oh yeah, that person's familiar. but you start seeing them more and more often, it kind of prompts you to, or at least it prompted me to be able to reach out and say, oh, hey, my name's Carson, what's your name? Nice to meet you. So I think because of that, it really, it doesn't force, but it kind of encourages people to make relationships, because having those kind of friendships makes life easier, and a lot more enjoyable too.
What would you tell a high school student who is thinking about coming to major in one of the Polytechnic's majors? Why should he or she come to the Polytechnic?
For me, I think my personal motivation was I knew that I wanted to do either some sort of engineering or something that worked with the process of design, but I also really wanted to retain the aspect of actually building things with my hands. So for me, MET was a perfect fit. I've known about it since I was a sophomore in high school. So I think the thing that I would say to high school students is just research a lot about what you're into, think about what your interests are, and just go for it. No one did anything in life just by being shy and not taking those risks, but I would say if you're passionate about something and if you really think that something's going to be a good fit for you, go for it and make the best out of it.
A 2-minute video with Lindsay Drake and Carson Deal is available on the Tech Purdue YouTube channel, and it features a variety of pictures from their trip to Germany and the Czech Republic. You can also learn about the next trip for incoming first-year students and other study abroad opportunities on our website. Hot links to both the video and our Office of Globalization are on the webpage for Episode 6 at polytechnic.purdue.edu/techies today. Next on the podcast, Renee Thomas, Director of Purdue's Black Cultural Center. Techies Today is produced at Purdue University in Purdue Polytechnic's Office of Marketing Communications. The college is on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Tech Purdue. Be sure to follow us. And the podcast is on Twitter and Instagram at Techies Today. Send email to techiestoday@purdue.edu. Our executive producer is Melissa Templeton. I'm John O, the podcast's editor and producer. Thanks for listening. That's what's happening for Techies Today.